Good morning. Matt Greer at St. John's United Methodist Church in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Good morning, and glad you are with us for Monday morning music. That was Javi Corbin and Alexis Corbin, Soul Calypso, How High the Moon. That was one of the videos that we made with musicians during lockdown. And all of those are available on our YouTube channel. There's just a vast trove of fantastic music videos that you can enjoy if you've not discovered that. Can I just say that I'm a little tired this morning? This was a weekend. We had a wonderful concert yesterday with Bettman and Halpin, and lovely crowd in the room, great crowd watching the live stream. And if you didn't get a chance to enjoy that concert, you can also find that concert on our YouTube channel. And looking at the live stream, it came off just beautifully. The sound is great. You can see the whole concert from beginning to end, and it was such a joy to have them, especially because their concert was the first thing that got canceled in March of 2020 when we started having to cancel things. So having Stephanie and Luke back was wonderful, and it was a special joy to have the choir involved in that. So if you didn't get a chance to see it, please do. Couple of things coming up this week that I would call your attention to. We're doing Thursday live stream concerts, as I hope you're aware, in October and November. And those are only live stream, no audience in the room from our sanctuary. We had a wonderful recital from Fred Sturm last Thursday, again, which you can view on the YouTube channel. And this Thursday, we're welcoming a wonderful local singer-songwriter, Oscar Butler. So noon Mountain Time, Thursday, live Oscar Butler from our sanctuary. And then the other thing kind of going on this week, which is not necessarily St. John's related, but I'm going to plug it anyway, is that Quintessence, the chorus that I direct in Albuquerque, as you may be aware, had been doing beer choir in Albuquerque for about 3 years before lockdown. And we have been sad not to be able to do that. But we have one this Thursday, and it is at an absolutely amazing outdoor heated patio venue, B2B Beer Garden, which is on Comanche just west of Wyoming. And that'll be at 6:30. And so come and enjoy beer choir and sing with us. It is going to be a great time, and that is an amazing space for it. So lots going on as always. And I'm really eager to talk to my guest this morning. And as a way of introducing her, I wanted to play one video. Jocelyn Hagen is a composer, but also a singer and a pianist. And with her husband, Tim Takash, who's also a composer and a singer, they have a pop duo called Nation. And back in February for Quintessence's virtual Valentine's Day festival, they did a concert for us and also a special music video. And I'm going to play that video for you now. This is Jocelyn and Tim Nation performing Shallow. Enjoy.
Modern world, or do you need more? Is there something that you're searching for? I'm falling, and in the good times I find myself longing for change. Times I fear myself. Tell me something, boy. Aren't you tired trying to fill that void? Or do you need more? Ain't it hard keeping it so hardcore? I'm falling, and in the good times I find myself longing for change, and in the bad times I fear myself. Out of the deep end watches I dive in, I'll never meet the ground. Crash to the surface where they can't hurt us. We're far from the shallow now. In the shallow, shallow, in the shallow, shallow, in the shallow, shallow, we're far from the shallow now. Oh, 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 oh.
That was Jocelyn Hagen and Tim Takash performing Shallow. That was a video that they did for us for the Quintessence Virtual Valentine's Day Festival. And it was absolutely fantastic to have them involved in that. I have known and admired and conducted Jocelyn Hagen's music for a long time before I actually got to meet her personally. And one of the things that Quintessence has been involved in was being involved in the commissioning of an amazing multi-movement piece of hers called The Notebooks of Leonardo da Vinci, which we were to perform at our summer festival in 2020. And of course, that didn't happen. And it didn't happen in 2021, but it is going to happen in 2022. And so Jocelyn will be coming to Albuquerque for that occasion, and we can't wait to do that piece. And I just thought it would be great to chat with her this morning. So she's in Minnesota, and there she is. Good morning, Jocelyn.
Hello, Matt. Good morning, everyone.
How are you?
I'm doing well. It's a beautiful day here in Minnesota. The leaves are really turning now, but it's going to get to 70 today, which is,
wow.
Yeah, kind of rare here at this time of year.
Yeah, all of my friends from the Midwest are posting fall leaf pictures, and it's annoying because we don't have it quite the same way here, and I miss it.
Yeah, it is my favorite time of year. So
yeah, absolutely. So thanks for being here this morning. I'm so excited to be able to share some of videos of your music and stuff like that. And I wonder if I might just do one of those right away. Is the piece that one of the pieces that you sent is called Moon Goddess, and what would you tell us about this?
Yeah, so Moon Goddess, it's getting to be an older piece of mine. It's, I think, almost 10 years old, maybe more like 8 years old. But I wrote it for a consortium of treble choirs through ACDA, and I fell in love with this text out of a book of poetry that's called Women Poets from Antiquity to Now. And the very first poet in that book is Enheduanna. And that is who wrote the text for Moon Goddess. She is the first known writer in all of the world, which I love that she's a woman. You know, that's a really cool thing.
And say the name again.
Enheduanna.
Okay.
Yeah. She's fascinating. You can look her up if you'd like. And her poetry really only exists in scraps, you know, fragments. And so I created my own poem from all these different scraps of poetry. And I wanted to write something that was really powerful to sing, and just feels really good. And like you're rooted deep in the earth and you can really sing out and be strong. So that's what I wanted this piece to be like, and I think it works. It uses a 4-hand piano part, which is really a lot of fun to write, and a little bit of percussion.
And what about this video of this performance?
Oh, this is so cool. And I believe it's from New Mexico, right? It's an honor choir from New Mexico.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of those pandemic projects. They did a virtual performance of Moon Goddess, and their video is outstanding. It's one of the best I've seen. I'm so happy that they decided to do this with my piece. So it's been really fun to be able to share it.
Very cool. Okay, let's watch it. This is Jocelyn Hagen's Moon Goddess. That's an absolutely fantastic video.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. And I want to just say this, that was the Centennial High School Bella Voce Choir under the direction of Krista Fredrickson.
Fantastic. Yeah, thanks for telling us who that was.
Yeah, I realized I forgot to say it beforehand. So, yeah.
So, tell me a little bit about your musical background. Did you grow up singing? Did you grow up taking piano lessons? How did you first experience music?
I'm very lucky to come from a musical family. My mother is a music educator, so she was my very first piano teacher. So I was playing the piano by the age of 3, and just very enthralled with music from an early age. And she said she always knew when I was happy because I was singing. But another really cool thing is that my mom has 2 sisters, and they're very close in age, and they sing in harmony every time they get together. So every time we have a family reunion, there's always music around the piano, and I grew up listening to them sing in harmony. One of my aunts even went down to Nashville to sell some songs and do that whole bit. But yeah, so they have these beautiful voices, and I grew up listening to 3-part harmony. So every time I write treble music, 3-part treble music, I'm thinking of that sound. And the other thing that's really neat is that all 3 of those women had daughters about the same age. So I grew up making music with my 2 cousins. And I will never forget being about 12 years old when the Wilson Phillips album came out, and we could sing that entire album front to back, 3 of us in harmony. It was awesome.
Where are you from? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in North Dakota, a small town called Valley City. So, yeah.
And did you sing in choir? Did you sing in church?
Yes, I had a wonderful choir director who was a graduate of Concordia College, which is, in Moorhead, which is about an hour away from Valley City. But she had an awesome choral program. And so I was really highly involved in that all throughout high school. And after high school, I thought that I would probably be a choir conductor. So I went to school thinking that's what I was going to do, also knowing that I loved to compose music, but I didn't really see that as an option right away as a career choice. So I thought, I'll be a choir conductor. That'll be great fun.
So did composing start early for you? Did you start writing songs or?
Yeah, I think the improvising really started first. One of my dad's favorite tricks when his friends were over were to say, Jocelyn, go play some Yanni, which basically meant just go sit down at the piano and play some pretty music. And so I would go and do that. And then, I started writing songs when I was about 14, and that was for my band. So
what was your band called?
Stolen Suitcases. Yep. And we had
love it.
We had a first album called Lost Luggage.
That's great.
Yeah, and my mom had this old 4-track recorder, so we actually recorded our disc at home, or actually back then it was an audio cassette tape, and I still have a few of them. But yeah.
So those still exist somewhere.
Yes, they do.
Amazing. Mm-hmm. And then you went to St. Olaf, right? Which is pretty good music choir school.
Yeah. And then I got my master's at the University of Minnesota after that.
And was that in composition? Was your undergrad in voice or in composition or?
It was in both. So I did both a vocal music ed degree, which is huge, but then also a theory comp degree from St. Olaf, which basically meant I was there for 5 years and I overloaded my semesters and I didn't take a single elective.
You are not well-rounded, in other words.
No, it was music all the time. And I loved it. I really did. And I worked my way through school as an accompanist. So I played for a lot of singers, and I ended up playing also for Sigrid Johnson's choir, the Manitou Singers, for 2 years. So I loved that. But yeah, as soon as I student taught, excuse me, I realized that job was so huge and I would want to do it well. But I realized if I did it, I wouldn't have the time I wanted to write music. So, and I knew that was really my first love. So I decided to work for the high school instead as the accompanist, and like I helped out with sectionals and things like that. But I was able to focus on writing right away after school, and that was good.
Let me play one other video that you sent, and this is pretty cool because this involves some mutual friends of ours, the whole Voce 8 posse tribe, who've been to Albuquerque lots and over the last 10 years. And so this was a commission from Voce 8 that we're about to hear. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. It was
Tell
one
us
of
about
those.
this.
Yeah, it was one of those rare commissions that came about because of the pandemic. And of course, you know, Voce 8 calls you up and wants to commission you. You say, yeah, that sounds great.
Probably the product is going to be pretty good.
Yeah. And it was for one of their Christmas shows. But in terms of the subject matter, they said it was, you know, really up to me. They had one poem that they had chosen that I think Paul Smith wrote his too. So we knew that part of the concert, that it was kind of, they were commissioning, I think 6 of us to write pieces, and they all kind of wanted to fit within that theme. And so I went back to my trusty old Women Poets from Antiquity to Now book and found this amazing poem called Mother's Song. And it is, oh no, that's not what the poem is called. That's what my piece is called. Now I can't remember what that poem is called. But it's early Japanese. So it's a very old Japanese poem that I ended up setting for this piece.
Okay. And this is called Mother's Song. This is Voce 8.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Wow. That
I,
final is just gorgeous.
I don't ever get tired of hearing that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine not. That's just absolutely beautiful. And boy, those I actually chatted with Barney on a Monday morning a few weeks ago. Barney Smith, their artistic director and co-founder, and they have just done amazing work all through this. I mean, not only keeping stuff out there, but keeping giving work to musicians and to composers, and it's really extraordinary the work that they've done during lockdown.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been wonderful. It was a real honor to be asked to write something, and during the pandemic, it was there really weren't many of those type of opportunities. Most everything just got pushed, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the pandemic affects composers in the next couple of years. I think things will slow down as groups rebuild.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because, as you said, the Voces 8 commission was unusual because it came kind of as a result of the pandemic. They did a concert and they commissioned composers for that concert. But have you been in a situation where you had completed commissions and you're waiting to hear the premiere of pieces, for instance?
Yeah. So when the pandemic started, I was in the middle of an opera for Minnesota Opera's Project Opera. It was a really cool project for young singers, and the opera is almost an hour long. But yeah, so I had to. That was supposed to be done in 2021. No, 2021. It was for the next year, and they pushed it to 2023. So yeah, I still finished it within the time frame that they wanted, but now it's just kind of sitting there to be produced. So I'm greatly looking forward to that in 2023. But it's weird sometimes when I write music and then it sits for a long time, I forget how it goes. I come back, it's like, oh yeah, that song that I wrote. Oh,
yeah. And so I think people are kind of fascinated by the processes of writers and composers. And so you are someone who has written on commission for a long time. Mm-hmm. And so I would imagine that provides its own kind of healthy stress level about getting something done. But do you have a certain time of day that you work, or and I know you're also married to a composer, and I'm sure people ask you about that a lot, about how you work together or don't work together. But for you as a composer, is there a certain time of day or a way in which you work?
Yeah, my sweet spot is in the morning. So I usually wake up and help with the kids, get them off to school, and do my coffee and email routine, and then I write first thing after that. And yeah, so I already wrote music this morning, so I feel pretty good about my day. If I miss it in the morning, it feels weird. So I try not to schedule anything for the morning, or at least before like 10 a.m. because that 8:30 to 10 a.m. is usually my big chunk of writing time. And then the afternoon is usually filled with all the other business stuff that I got to do with just being an entrepreneur and a composer. It's a lot of email. I know you all can relate. That's not an uncommon problem.
Right. Yeah. One other thing that I think is interesting is that, and this has to do with, I think, the way that music publishing has changed in the last decade or so. And I'm as someone who programs music, I certainly have been aware that more and more composers are self-publishing, either themselves or through small groups. And you and your husband, Tim, have been involved in that kind of, it seems to me, from the very, very beginning through a company called Graphite. Is that right?
Yeah, we were among the first really to try and do this. So that was 2006 when we founded Graphite Publishing. And it truly is a mom and pop. My husband and I started it basically on our own as an experiment, really. We wanted to be somewhere in the middle between self-publishing and being published by a large publisher. Because when I have pieces published by, one of the big publishing houses, I only make about 10% of the
Mhm.
of a royalty
Uh-huh.
on that printed price, and that's and not all of them are even that high. But we set up graphite, and it has the highest royalty in the business. 40% goes back to the composer, so that's very, very helpful, just to get those higher royalties. It took us about 10 years to make a profit on our little experiment, but now we're expanding pretty a lot. In the pandemic, we were able to add some new composers and quite a few new titles. We're really proud of what we're putting out now, and I think more people are coming to our site too as a destination. Instead of like, oh, I need this one piece, I have to go to this other place besides JW Pepper to go get it. But I think now people are understanding that there's a high quality of music on our site, and they're going there to browse, which is what we always wanted and intended.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've come to rely on graphite, and I'm really excited by everything that is there. And it is so, I mean, it's so convenient, right? And that's the other kind of maybe revolution that everybody's experienced in the last 10 years, is that the scores are, you purchase and then download as PDFs and can distribute that way, print or send PDFs to your chorus members. And it's crazy convenient. It's just really, really helpful.
Yeah. And we started that way in 2006, selling
Wow.
PDFs. And back then people thought we were nuts. And now it's like, how do you get most of your music now these days?
Yeah. I know. Yeah. Well, that's amazing that you were so prescient about that. Speaking of graphite, I want to play a piece that I love and have actually performed the Quintessence Summer Festival the last time we were live in 2019. We have a chamber chorus of high school and college age scholars. And the set that they performed on our festival concert included this piece of yours called "To See the Sky." And so would you set this up for us?
Yeah, this was a very special commission. It was from Georgia ACDA. And it was in honor of a conductor and fantastic a pianist, a collaborative pianist that had played for many honor choirs and all kinds of things. And because I'm also a collaborative pianist, that was really deeply meaningful for me. So she passed away from breast cancer at a relatively young age, and so they commissioned this work in honor of her. And what I love about it really is, well, the poem is pretty perfect for someone who has just passed away, but the moment of climax isn't with the choir. The pianist gets it. And that's really rare. I mean, it's not something you usually hear. It's like a big choir piece and then all of a sudden the piano takes over. I mean, it's kind of a different thing, but I love it. And I remember crying when I wrote that climax for the piano, sitting down there and playing through that. And it's really fun to play, and it's really powerful and emotional to play. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this video.
Yeah, and this is a video that you'll be able to see the score concurrently as we're hearing the performance, which is cool. This is Jocelyn Hagen's "To See the Sky." Beautiful piece.
Thanks. I realize how perfect it is for the fall too, in general, with the
Yeah,
leaves.
absolutely. Yeah. So that was a poem of Sarah Teasdale, and I think is it just me because actually Amy, my wife, who sings in Quintessence and accompanies, we are, oh gosh, what's the piece that we're doing right now? There is a lot of sad Sarah Teasdale poetry. Am I wrong?
No, you are right. Yeah, yeah, and because she's in the public domain, it's
Sure.
easy to set. So a lot of composers have set her poems. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's an absolutely gorgeous piece, and the piano part is just, yeah, especially knowing that story is just kind of extraordinary, I think.
Yeah.
So do you, when you are commissioned to write a work, is it usual that the chorus or whomever has a text in mind, or have you generally been allowed a fair amount of leeway about what specific text you want to set?
Usually the latter. They usually say, or maybe they have a theme in mind or something like that. But no, they usually kind of let me go and ask me what I want to set. What I often like to do, which is really fun, is to compile a few and then let them let the students vote. Like say it's for a high school choir, let the students vote on the poem that they want to be set. That's really fun. Because that's what's so cool about a commission is that it's written for you. So I love getting the singers involved in the project as much as possible.
That's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
You have written, I mean, a lot of us think of you primarily as a choral composer, but you also have written some instrumental pieces as well, because you're a pianist and an instrumentalist. And I think we're going to play one of those for cello, right?
Oh yes, one of these. We originally called them etudes, but now we're going to call them miniatures. I've written, I think, 8 or 9 of them, and yeah, this is one of my very favorite ones. She just plays it so ferociously. It's a lot of fun.
And so, who are we hearing? Tell us.
This is Cicely Parnas, and she is an incredible cellist, and she lives here in Minnesota. So that's how I got to know her.
Okay. And so this is one of Jocelyn's miniatures for cello. Very cool.
Yeah.
So has that been a collaboration for you with her? I mean,
Yeah.
has she given you, I would imagine, a lot of input about, what works and all of that?
Well, and I originally approached them as etudes,
Uh-huh.
which is really fun because then as a composer, you're thinking about a certain kind of technique that the instrumentalist needs to practice, right? That's what etudes kind of are based on. So that movement is called drone. And so she has all these droning strings throughout, and it's just full of multiple stops, right? So that's always kind of a challenge for a composer that's not a cellist, because it's hard to sometimes tell, okay, can I play those two notes at the same time or those two notes at the same time? But I loved the effect of, glissing on one of the strings while you're droning with an open string. I thought that was a really fun thing to write.
So you're not a string player at all?
No.
Yeah.
I wish. Cello's my favorite.
Oh yeah, cello is the best, isn't it? I totally agree with that. One of the things that, as people will hear in Albuquerque when they finally get to hear the notebooks of Leonardo da Vinci, I think you're a marvelous orchestrator. I think that the colors in the orchestra is something just I'm really, really excited about. I just love it. And so that part of the process, the orchestration, the assigning of lines to instruments and colors and balance, do you enjoy that?
I love it. And I don't get to do it nearly as often as I'd like. Like you said, I'm mostly known for my choral music, so that takes up the bulk of my time. But any time I get to write for band or orchestra or a chamber ensemble is it's really, really fun. So yeah, and I loved writing the notebooks of Leonardo da Vinci. That piece in general is just such a joy. It's full of color, full of creativity and ideas, and it's a celebration of human creativity. That's how I like to think of that work.
Yeah, and it is really something you have to experience, because the multimedia aspect of it, the visuals that occur hand in hand with a live performance are just, you really do have to experience it that way. And so I can't wait for that to happen.
Me either.
And you were in the middle of, one of the things that happened in lockdown, at least, I came to see the piece in Tucson and got to see you there. But you had been going around a lot as attending performances and kind of overseeing performances of that. How many times has that work been performed now, do you suppose?
I think it's like 15, and there are 8 more maybe that need to happen as part of the consortium. So it was a lot of groups that ended up buying in, but I needed that because I never knew how expensive everything was going to be. It was a massive undertaking and quite risky, because I didn't really know what I was doing, because no one had really done it that way before. So it, yeah, but I love the challenge of it, and it has been really wonderful to see all these different interpretations of the work by different conductors, and just to get to hear a piece that many times. That's pretty rare for a new piece to get birthed and to be able to hear it so many times in a row. So I love consortiums for that reason.
Yeah, that is a very cool thing. So what's coming up for you? What are you working on right now?
Oh, I am so close to being done. I have like a timpani part left to write for one movement, and then I'm officially done with this new multimedia work for True Concord Voices and Orchestra. So I get to orchestrate again.
In Tucson again, right?
In Tucson again, yep.
Yeah.
And it is called Here I Am, and it is basically about validating the voices of women. And so the initial inspiration was from the suffrage movement. So it was going to be premiered originally in 2020 as a 100th anniversary concert for the women's suffrage movement. But I'm glad that it got pushed, because it let me explore the multimedia aspect of it, which we had kind of talked about, but it takes a long time to organize that aspect of a performance. So the extra time was really needed to make it happen the way I wanted to. And what I ended up doing was commissioning portrait artists from around the world to female portrait artists to paint or draw pictures of women that are featured in the libretto. So there are 46 different women that are a part of my libretto, and so 46 portraits. And what was cool is that I actually I worked myself in there because, of course, there were parts of the libretto where I was like, oh, I need a connecting thing here, and this is what I want to say. And I thought, well, why don't I just say it? So it was really neat to be able to also then commission portraits of myself.
And I actually have one of these to show.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. Yeah, my husband Tim took that. It was a picture of me when we just went outside on a windy day, and I just started singing and screaming into the wind, and yeah, that's what came out. That was it was drawn by Liz Ahmet, and she is an artist in the UK.
That's very, very cool. So that premiere is to happen in January, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, very, very exciting. This has been so fun, Jocelyn. As I said, when I introduced you, I've just admired your music for forever. And so to get to chat with you is just a real treat.
Well, thanks. It's been really great getting to know you. And I can't wait to come down and actually work with Quintessence and make all those things happen that we've been talking about for so long.
Yeah, I can't wait either. And so you should go write that timpani part, and then you can be you can be done with that piece. And we look forward to seeing you in July and chatting with you before. Thanks again for being with us this morning.
Of course. Thanks for the invitation.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Well, thanks, friends. That was just great fun chatting with Jocelyn. And a reminder that this week we have a live stream from Oscar Butler Thursday at noon. If you want to come out and sing and drink, Thursday night at 6:30 for beer choir. And then next Monday morning, same time, I'm going to be chatting with Maria Ellis, who is a wonderful music educator, conductor, radio personality from St. Louis. So hope you will tune in for that. Thanks very much for joining us this morning. Have a wonderful week.